Hey there, everybody. David the Jello Fox here. Just showing off progress I've made on my little terrain generation. At the moment, I can generate one specific biome, which is the hilled forest, trees, and whatnot. I don't know. It's a bunch of grass and a bunch of other stuff just thrown in. I've got a lot of work I need to do on this, but see these trees? They're being placed as tiles. At the moment, they're not being deleted when they go off screen, but the level itself is being chunk loaded. So if I go back into Godot, shut that down, go to player and change the load range down to something smaller. Relaunch, make sure this is being captured. No, it's not. Hold on. Properties, you want to go. There we go. Done. You can see the terrain and trees are now being spawned in as we go. Now, I've got infinite generation figured out. I have two types of noise interacting. There's the global Y level, which is affecting whether or not it's sea level or mountain or anything in between. And then there's a per biome noise for what kind of hills and valleys. There's also some, generation of clay and stone. And of course, trees are popping up because I added them in. I could add in flowers and all sorts of stuff. But these trees are popping in as scenes, and I need to teach them how to detect where their chunk is and then to delete themselves when they're off the screen, so that the game will respawn them when it goes back over that area. Right now, I don't have any way of editing the world. Otherwise, I'd be able to test my saving system, which is to, say I build a house right here. Then, I go off to do something else. When I come back, the house, I want it to be here still. So I have to save the chunks the house are in. So any chunks that are affected by the player that are changed from the seed generation will get saved, keeping your actual level file small, but allowing you infinite world generation to just keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. What I need to do now, other than getting the trees to work, like I said, is figure out how I want to control the per biome selection. And most of that will be the global Y level. So say you're so many feet above sea level, or so many meters, whatever. You have a chance of 3 different biomes, and then that'll be based on a noise value. And then the biomes themselves will be only of a certain size because of the noise value. I have to figure out exactly what I want to do for that, or how much I want to control that. And then when I make the world creation tool set, say like you open up your game of Minecraft, or in this case, Wander Yonder, I don't know what I'm going to call this thing. Project Outcast was the overall name, but it's growing and changing. You get your world size, small, medium, large, or custom, and then custom would obviously give you the power to put in whatever numbers you want for, say, world height and stuff. The biomes themselves will still generate as they're instructed. Like there's a certain amount of hill noise. There's a certain amount of generate rocks and stuff underneath. Right now I've got the game, the demo, working in 1920 by 1080, and it's fairly smooth. I can zoom around with no problem. And this is a little bit faster than the player would move. Normally I'm generating like twice the chunks to keep up with the chunk load. At the moment, the chunks are really small. I'm going to experiment with making the chunks bigger, but I expect that the bigger I make the chunk, the more per chunk it'll have to do to load in everything. That's why I'm trying small chunks and seeing if I can get away with that. Godot has its own little chunking system for rendering, but this is specifically to keep the memory cost low. Technically, this is a multi-chunk loader system, so I should be able to, say, place down a generator and then leave, and then the generator and the chunks around it, depending on the range of the generator, will stay loaded. So when I have multiple players running around the same world, multiple chunk loaders, each person will be loading their part of the map, and then if they change anything in the map, that will have to communicate with the host server saying, hey, save these chunks. But then, each player will have the seed generation numbers and the code that dictates how to generate the biome, and their computers will do the work of generating the biomes the way they should be, which means the server really doesn't have to do all that much. I keep track of all the different chunk loaders, anything that would interact with other players, say like gunfire or nuclear missiles or generators. Those I'll have to keep track. Another thing to figure out is how to control the tree growth, because you want like your crops and stuff, they'll start as little sprouts and then they'll become big old trees like this. By the way, these assets I found online, I just used them for the sake of having something to use. Right now, trees are being controlled by random generation, which, as I go over terrain over and over, might... Yep, there it goes, popped in another tree. I'll have to fix that. I'll have to make it based off the level noise generation and then put some sort of limiter on it. Or maybe just create a noise that's specifically for trees and plants. I'm generating these by saying, here's the Y level generation. Here's where grass is. Put something on top of it. So it's coming together. It's piece by piece. This program is growing. Obviously, I've got my player character and stuff in another version of the demo, the project, and I'm gonna have to merge all that together at some point. And once I've got world generation kind of going, and I've got the player built in, once I've got the biomes started to figure out and started to build new biomes and figure out how to transition between the biomes seamlessly, then I'll add in stuff like mining, placing blocks, which of course will interact with the loading and saving of the world, and yada yada yada. Project will be made. One idea I had, which I need to eventually test, is say you start in space, like Starbound, you got a spaceship. I was thinking I could use a tile map as the spaceship with certain collision and stuff, and you've got a version of the player in that tile map, and then that spaceship can come down with limited interaction with the world, limited collision interaction, and say land. Then you go to exit your ship. The version of the player inside the ship goes away, and the player in the outside, in the world, either that or the player just gets moved from the ship tile map and parented to the level tile map instead. So I was thinking, I can experiment with that and experiment with making your own vehicles, where you can have like a workshop and then it'll create the vehicle. And then when you go to interact with that, it will allow you to create the vehicle by stepping into the little vehicle tile map, placing your tiles, and then when you're done, you exit out of that, save it, and then the vehicle spawns in as that tile map each time with a certain amount of interaction with the level. So, you could get a Trash Mechanic or Tears of the Kingdom kind of vibe just some big ideas. Don't know if I can make them work. And, I'm doing all my own art assets, minus these trees, which I found online, and I'm just using to test. So things are coming together. Things are starting to work out. Still have no idea how I'm going to do liquids or fluids. Just no idea whatsoever. And lighting. Lighting is a pain. Because I wish I could just make it so that there's a transparency value on the tile, so that a certain amount of light will hit the tile, but then won't pass to the next. Maybe I can figure out a shader for that. But, for now, you're stuck with full bright. And you're going to love it. Because I love it. That's the wave of the future. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'm David the Jello Fox. I'm just a guy who works at a foundry and in his part-time plays around at being a game designer. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy the project. Stay tuned. Updates will be sporadic as I make significant, successes. Like this, infinite world generation. That's a pretty big step. I had to show it off. But I wanted trees. So I took off the trees, and now I got all sorts of other work to do. And bye now.